You gotta be like the luckiest guy on the planet.
I know, and I was like thinking to myself, like, okay, saw it once, okay. What's the chances it's gonna happen again? So the next day, me, my sister, and my buddy went for a bike ride. We had just made it up over the hill, and then it looked like, oh, okay, there's a jogger. Then it ran across the road, and it's like, okay. And then it got down on all fours and started running weird, and then crossed the road again, and then disappeared.
So did it cross where you saw the first one?
No, it was further down.
How much further down?
Probably another 150, 200 yards.
So right inside of this.
But it come out of like the same spot. But on that side of the road, it come out of like over there, crossed the road, and then just started running. And it was weird. I'm like, oh, it's a jogger. That's what we all thought. And then she stopped and she's like,
it did not look like a jogger at all. It didn't look like a person.
but I wasn't expecting that to happen again.
Right,
so
right.
I'm like, no. But this one was like, wasn't big at all.
How big was it?
Probably only another foot taller than I was. That's why we thought it was a jogger, because it wasn't big at all.
So what color was it?
It was like a really dark brown, like almost black.
Was it covered in fur or like?
Yeah, you could like see that.
Right, because as it got closer and came running, it was like getting clear, and I'm like, there's no way. My buddy's like,
because we thought it was a bear too, but then we realized that bears can't.
like
run
and then
off
it was
that.
like full on running.
At you guys?
Yeah, come running right at us. Scared the crap out of her.
Yeah, and then they wanted to go towards it, and I was like, no.
No, she called me.
Wow.
Mom, come get me.
That's amazing.
It is.
After you guys saw it, what'd you do?
She called my mom freaking out, made her come get her. Me and my buddy rode the bikes back, just cause figured we'll ride the bikes quiet, see if we could see it come in the
What
woods or something.
time of day was it when you saw the
Like
second?
right before sunset.
Yeah,
It's like 7:30, 8:30.
I 8:39 to be exact, because that's when you called me.
So you guys come up the road, you saw this thing, when you initially saw it, it was running at you or it came out of the woods?
It was like, well, we come up over the hill and it was on this side coming down the road, and we're like, okay, looked like someone walking or jogging, you know, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden it crossed the road and okay, and then started running again, and then got in the middle of the road and got like down low and kept coming and like stood back up and run off, and it was like,
So when you said it got down low, like how did it get down low? Was it like on its belly low?
it was low, like
Where was its arms positioned when it was down?
went from running to just almost like you couldn't even see underneath of it. It was that low.
Wow. So when it did it, was its arms like do this so I can see it on
They
camera?
were like, yeah, they weren't spread out, but they
Right.
weren't close. They were like, I don't know, weird. Looked like someone trying to climb up a wall, but like,
Really?
yeah.
On the tarmac.
Yes.
How fast was it moving when it was low to the ground?
Not too fast, but not slow either. Like not at a walking pace, but it was moving.
Huh.
I don't think they can run on their 2 feet.
Right. I mean, they
They
can
only-
move it somewhat, but they're not gonna like you could see it picking its legs up like as it ran, and it was okay. Well, that's not a bear, so that's why I was thinking, oh, it's just someone jogging. And then I'm like, well, it got
And then
down
it went
like
off
that.
into the woods too.
Right.
At some point you realized it didn't have clothes on?
Well, from a distance, you just see a blur, and then you're like, oh, well, there's so many things running through your mind when you see that, like, well, that's not a what?
And it was just one black color. Like usually you can see like the tan and then a
Right.
color of clothes, but it was just all black.
Wow. Could you tell, was you close enough to see the face or anything?
Sadly, no.
Was you further away than the first one that you saw from this one?
Yeah, this was probably a good double, triple that distance.
Oh gosh, so you're talking what, 700-800 feet, something like that?
Right.
That's why
That
he
is-
kept going towards it, he said, because he wanted to see it this time. He was trying to go.
Right, it was coming at us, and then it like dipped off into the woods. She turned around and she started calling her. Me and my buddy kept going because we're like, let's try to get closer and see exactly what it is.
Right.
Like we were like, can't be a bear, can it? You know, like bears are bigger. You know, like when they get down on all fours and run, that you could see like it's a bear, like the way they ran. But this didn't. Like I don't know, it was weird.
You guys are incredibly lucky. Well, you're lucky to have seen one. You're incredibly lucky to see two.
I know, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, well, it's not gonna happen again. Let's go bike ride. You know.
That's really interesting when you talk about it going flat down to the ground being that low, because that is one of the odd things that people have reported. Sometimes people will. It's interesting because you said it was. If I remember, you said it was like crawling up a wall, but
Right.
on the tarmac. Some people will report it being almost spider-like, that it will get right down flat. Sometimes its arms are out.
Well, they
so-
weren't like spread, but they weren't in close either. They were like, like I said, it looked like someone was like trying to crawl.
And was it still headed at you when it did
Yeah.
that?
And that's what confused us.
I know this is going to be a little bit redundant because we already talked about it, but you want to go over the first time that you saw one again? Now that was like what, a week and a half ago, right?
Yeah.
And you were riding out here on your bike to check the mail.
Yeah, and I made it to like, I knew I saw something. I didn't think of anything of it until I got to the middle of the road and I could really see it, and it was like trying to cross the road, it looked like, but it wasn't at the road yet. It was like, say that's the edge of the road. It was probably this far off.
Yeah.
You know, a couple feet, and it was just standing there looking like it was about to cross, and then it like turned and looked at me, and it like could see me, and then it just like walked back into the woods.
We're going to take a measurement here to
Yep.
see how far it is, but when I asked you how tall the thing was, what did you tell me?
Probably a good double my size.
That's what you said, that it was double your size.
Yeah.
Now, at some point, when you initially saw that, you thought it was a person?
Which one?
The first one.
The first one, yeah, that's what I was trying to think of, and then I'm like, well, no, because now that I look at it, like those trees that are hanging down are too tall, and it walked off into the woods, and just the characteristics of it, the more I think about it, just, no, there's no way it could have been.
Yeah, you drew me a picture of it. Did you, like, was there things about it that were atypical, like not a characteristic of a person? Like, what things on it made you realize it wasn't a person?
How long the arms were, and the shoulders.
What was wrong with its shoulders?
It was just like human shaped, and then it just got like super bulk up toward the chest area.
Huh. You could tell there was a lot of what?
Oh, yeah.
Muscles and stuff up there. Now, what color did you say the first one was?
Around the same color.
Oh. Now, the first one, could you tell it had fur on it, or could you just tell it was dark?
It didn't really look like it had much, like, this one looked like it had long fur.
The second one?
Right.
Wow, interesting. The first one didn't seem to have long fur?
No, not like this one.
Oh, that is very interesting. I noticed in your drawing that you kind of had like a cone.
Right, and it did that. First when I saw it, it wasn't like the round of our heads, it kind of went up a little bit.
Because I noticed on the drawing that seemed to be the thing that you spent the most time on. You kind of shaded in that section on the top.
Yeah.
Now, could you make out any facial characteristics if you couldn't?
No, like I said, I was in the middle of the road looking at it, trying to just think of what I'm seeing. It's not gonna stop me from going out like during hunting season or going fishing the brook, but it's gonna put caution, and I'm gonna look now, pay more attention as I'm walking through the woods, not just walk to where I'm going.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look around, you know.
You have a different awareness now of the
Right,
forest, don't you?
right.
Yeah.
What did I just see?
Right.
Like, that's not normal.
Well, now you have a
It's
box to
all
put it in.
surprising.
Remember I talked about a box? You didn't have a
Right.
box to begin with. Now you've created a Sasquatch
Right.
box. So
Right.
you have a box to put the Sasquatches in. Now, your mom was telling me that you guys talked to your neighbor down there that
Yeah.
you said, and he's had some strange stuff happen too?
Well, the guy that passed away that lived in the house right here, he was his uncle. And so he was telling us that his uncle always used to say that he'd see stuff like that out here all the time, and no one believed him.
No shit.
But this guy also had no friends on the road. He was
He used
very...
to tease everybody too.
Right.
And say, don't. He just wrote it to me, so I had it in writing. He said, "Don't wander around at night. You might run into a Bigfoot." And they always thought he was joking.
This is the guy that died said this to you?
His nephew that lives on the property right now.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, he also said a few winters before I moved up here, he saw tracks down in the junkyard trail going up to the house, which I was going to welcome you guys to see a few things on the property if you wanted. There's like a trail that leads out at the end of the driveway here that we call Tent City because some people had come up one summer and made like a tent
Cabins, like out of
cabins
trees.
out of trees and tents and stuff, but
It's all destroyed
they
now.
didn't stay. It was weird, so I don't know if maybe they encountered something freaky and
Ah.
just took off.
Right, this was years ago, and they come up
But-
for like 2 weekends and then never come back.
Right.
Is that is that where the tree break was that I saw
Right,
last
yeah,
time I
that
was here?
path. It's right on that path.
So the path that goes this way goes to Tent City?
Yeah. Yep. And
Huh.
then the gentleman that lived in this house right here, his whole back, he has a junkyard, I guess, out back. We've never dared to wander on it because we were always afraid of the gentleman, but that's what his nephew was saying, that they've seen tracks and stuff.
So his uncle told him not to wander around at night. He might bump into a Bigfoot.
The smell I was smelling.
Ooh.
Because my bed is right by a window and I have a fan in the window pointing at me.
Mhm.
And it was like a pissy, musty smell. And it's something I've never smelled that smell before. And I even woke her up and I'm like, Yana, do you smell that? Like
Yeah, I didn't
Oh.
smell it though.
it was, yeah,
He has goosebumps right now.
I know. It made me feel funny after all this. I didn't hear any noises or anything. So that's what I was listening for, but that smell was just.
Well, like I told you guys when I was down here before, we've been studying this for a while, and we've uncovered no legitimate instances of these things ever hurting anybody.
Right.
They seem very curious. They seem highly intelligent. I don't know what their agenda is. I'm not sure where they come from or what they're up to, but they're very strange. But I don't think they're dangerous per se.
Well,
So can I have this?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. I will put this in the video.
I know. When I was looking at it, I'm like, look at the hair. I'm like, you saw hair? Is that what
You
stuck
could-
out to you?
The thing is, you could tell it looked kind of like a person, but it was too big, and you could kind of just see like the hair kind of flow and stuff. while it was
Wow.
running.
If you had to pick a monkey or a gorilla or an ape of some sort, what that it looked like, what would you compare it? That it looked most like?
Probably more of a gorilla, but like more skinnier and more like.
I noticed you got the narrow waist, which you earlier told me when the first one that you saw, you made that comment about it having kind of a narrowish
Right.
waist.
And then it got bigger up into the chest area.
Yeah.
And even like its legs were kind of more bulkier.
Really? So you could tell it had muscled up legs.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm
I'm just
getting
glad I wasn't alone the second time, because now like there's other people that have seen it.
right.
And I'm like, okay, so I'm not going crazy and seeing things.
You're not crazy. No, you're not crazy, and I don't think you guys are in any danger. You're really quite fortunate to have, this like unsolved mystery right in
Right.
your backyard that you guys can interact with. That's pretty cool.
And then the more we talk to the neighbors are starting to speak up. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
So.
No, I wondered about that when I was down here before, and like I said, a lot of people are hesitant, obviously, to tell anybody about something that's so strange. But usually when you start speaking out, which is why I like to do videos of eyewitnesses, because then it gives other people that have seen these things.
Right.
Because, you're pretty courageous to come out and talk about it. But I guarantee you, people will watch those videos and they'll say, well, something similar happened to me. And so it gives other people a platform for a voice. All right, so we'll grab that camera and we'll get a measurement of the, we'll try to get some measurements here. Thank you for drawing the,
Want the still camera? Or
yeah, I'm going
That
to,
too, right after, because I asked her. when
yeah, no, I like the, like I said, I immediately recognized the narrow waist as the characteristics on there with my,
And when I messaged you and I said that, so I had her, I'm like, please make sure you do some kind of drawing so you don't forget. And she
Right.
did that night. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
All right, so you and I will walk down. I'm going to have Kathy stay up here where you can show her where you saw it. So the second one you guys saw, you said came out further down the road, right?
Yeah. We were
And that was about, you said, so like maybe 8:30, you said just before twilight?
Yeah, so we were probably right at that corner, and it come out like right where that field is down here.
Yep.
And it come out that way on this side of the road, and then crossed the road and kept coming at us, and then got down.
So it came out of the left-hand side of the road?
Yeah, and it probably made it to about that. How many telephone poles down is that? Looks to me like that last telephone pole that you could see on this side of the trees, and then it went in.
So it went into the right?
Yeah.
It went into the same side that the one that you saw the
Yes.
other day came out of?
Yeah.
All right, Kathy, we'll walk down there. You know how to run, you got that thing working. If you want, you can take pictures, whatever you want to take pictures of. All right, so we'll hike down to where you saw that thing.
Yep.
I'm very
Oh, man.
excited for
I
you.
know, and I'm like getting like goosebumps again just talking about it.
No, when I told you that it's rare for people to see a Sasquatch during the daytime, to see two.
I know, and that's what I was like, okay, so it's a rare thing, so it's not gonna happen again. I don't have to worry about it. And so I'm like, okay, you guys wanna go for a bike ride? Sure. Let's take a couple mile bike ride. And then we get to that corner and my sister freaks out. And I'm like, oh no.
Well, it
What?
appears, talking to you and then you talking to your neighbor, and I told you I had somebody else
Yeah.
that had an experience behind us there at the
Right.
trestle, that there's activity, they're doing something. I mean,
Right.
obviously they're active in this area, so where he saw the tracks is pretty consistent where that thing came out that you
Right,
saw?
The trail goes in right down there, and that you can see right there by those trees where it goes in.
Yeah.
Right there, the trail goes in there, and it goes all the way to Jimmy's camper. And it branches off in a couple spots, and there's like a little junkyard right in there. And that's apparently where they saw the tracks, which would make sense because this is like where they were coming from. My, sightings or.
Right. So like this sounds like that for some reason they're crossing this road right here.
Right. Oh, chills.
It's rare. You're fortunate to have seen them, and like you were saying, you're even more fortunate you saw it with your
Right.
sister. Your sister and your buddy, so there was
I know.
3 of you guys saw the thing.
Right. And my buddy took off after. He's like, I'm going to find it. I want to. Like, did I just see that right? I'm going to get it better. But it was gone by the time he got close.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
He took off this way, and my sister took off that way, calling my mom scared. But
What?
my friend also isn't scared. You know, he's the buddy I take hunting, and
Right. Usually people are more fearful that aren't intimate with the forest.
right.
But it sounds like you and your buddy spent a lot of time roaming around these woods.
Right.
All right, so is this where it crossed?
Yeah, it was probably like right around here.
So it would have had to gone into the woods over there? It didn't
No,
go into this
This
rock?
one come out, and then
No, the first one that you saw came out of
Yes.
here, right? All right, so here, you want to hold that. You can point it at me, I guess, if you want. All right, so look at this. Where did Kathy go to? Is she back there? Watch yourself, don't get hit by that car. So this would represent about 9 feet. Now, you said those branches was it in front of those branches?
Yeah.
So
And it
we'd
was-
be standing right about where the thing was.
Right.
Oh, she's got pictures. Did you get pictures yet?
Looks like she is now. Yep.
Good.
Thumbs up.
And they seem to hide their tracks, and I don't know, man.
Right, and it's weird because I've hunted these woods my whole life and never seen anything like that.
Well, I did the same thing. I mean, when I was your age, I was down here trout fishing. I was just
Right.
telling my wife that. I said, I roamed all through these woods. I said, I never ran across any Sasquatches
Right,
or
and
tree
I never have
knots
like
or-
down on the stream or anything. Like we've been fishing the stream and we've jumped deer and you could tell it's deer, you know.
Right.
But nothing like that.
That's right, because that night after you saw the one, you guys had that weird occurrence at the trestle.
Right. Right.
So you've had like 3 events occur in the last 2 weeks.
I know, and that's what's like. You said it was like, yeah, it's a 1 in a million chance, and then
It
like
is.
keeps happening, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, well, obviously.
And then that time I had my sister and my friend with me, so I'm like, okay, so it's not just me.
Greetings, peeps. Hope you enjoyed that. I was like, wow. The way he described the spider crawling, that must have been pretty creepy. To see something running upright and then to just go flat on the ground and do this spider crawl, lizard crawl, gecko crawl, whatever you want to call it. You don't see reports of quadrupedal, 4-legged critters walking upright for very long, and you don't generally hear about bipedal creatures like us going down on all 4s, although there are some notable exceptions. People can teach themselves to run on all 4s. So I want to thank you guys. I want to thank Bobby, his mom and his sister, for coming forth and sharing their story with all of you guys. It's a very courageous thing to do, and it's important. It's important to build the database. It's also important for those of you that have had a similar encounter to know you're not alone. You're not crazy, and you're not alone. This phenomenon is real. These creatures are real, and they're very strange. They're very odd. The behaviors they exhibit, the things that they do, the missing puzzle pieces that we have that we can't fill, the big gaping holes in our question. Why we can't get them on trail camera, why we don't have a squished one. I came away from this interview impressed by their courage and by their familiarity and knowledge of the lay of the land and of the animals there. As you guys can tell, Bobby's a avid hunter and fisherman, and like a lot of young men in Maine, spends a lot of time in the forest, recreating, doing stuff. It's not going to stop him from going into the forest. He's still going to go there, even though now he knows there's a 10-foot tall, hairy hominid running around. And to the peeps, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this, share it with like-minded friends, and I especially appreciate your comments. They're a wealth of information and insight into this phenomenon. Since you guys are MIT PhD Sasquatchers, Zenyetians.